All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching me across the state in Nigeria. I must say that yesterday, Nigerians celebrated Democracy Day being June 12, and the dividends of democracy can be said to be a progressive one. I think, as I would like to ask, as Nigerians had their full share of democracy, and how much of the dividends of democracy have we had, and how far are we when it comes to progress? And of course, these are all or some of the questions that I will be serving my guests from our Abuja studio today. Again, I welcome you to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Chief Host Kike Atanda-Owo. So guys, before I just dive straight to the topic, I think it's important for us to hear what On This Day in History segment has for us. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
This day in 2014, prolific award-winning and critically acclaimed Nigerian filmmaker and broadcasting executive Amaka Igwe was laid to rest at her marital home in Indueche, Arunduzogu, Imo State. Igwe won a number of awards in her career, many of which could be found and hung up in the staircase and hallways of her office. She kept her more personal awards on her desk. In 2011, Nigeria recognized her substantial efforts and immense contributions to the creative industry by awarding her with the Nigerian National Order of MFR, meaning Member of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Amaka Igwe died on the 28th of April 2014 after she suffered an asthma attack in Enugu, was the owner of Top Radio 9009 Lagos and Amaka Igwe Studios. She's recognized as one of the second generation of filmmakers who pioneered the video film era of Nigeria's cinema, and she remained a prominent figure in the industry until her death in 2014.
All right, many thanks for staying with me. I think on this day in history segment, because this personality, as far as I'm concerned, remain a prominent figure in Nigeria, because Amaka Igwe's legacy extends beyond our individual achievements. Our contributions helped elevate Nigerian cinema on both national and international platforms. So I ask in pain that we shall all end as a legacy, because the choice of the legacy is left for us while we're still alive. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that we all need to be conscious, of the kind of legacy we are leaving behind, so that, history will pen our name for something positive. And I think that's my message, or my takeaway from On This Day in History segment today. Stay with me. We'll go on a quick break and the conversation will continue. Right, many thanks for staying with me. On the live show today, I will be discussing the inauguration of the 10th Assembly under the administration of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, the inauguration followed the end of the 9th session of the Senate and of course the House of Representatives since 2019 to 2023, and the proclamation of the new Assembly 2023 to 2027 by the country's president after the lawmakers had their elections. So Senator Godwin Akpabio emerged the 10th president of the Senate after defeating Senator Abdulaziz Yari, and Akpabio, a former senator, minority leader, pulled about 63 votes to defeat Yari, and of course a former governor Zamfara who scored 76 votes. Also, lawmaker Senator Jubril Baro, emerged as the deputy senator president after the inner process of election. And on today's live show, I will be discussing, I will discuss talking points with my guest on how the new assembly can drive the nation forward with the newly appointed lawmakers. And of course, given the fact that yesterday was June 12, you know, I will be reflecting on the growth of the democracy after 30 years of struggle since the annulment of the 1993 election. So before I dive straight to the topic at hand, I think it's important for me to just show a brief short video of my guest. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. I want to use this opportunity to quickly usher in my guest from our Abuja studio. Welcome to the show, Most Reverend Archbishop Peter Ogunmuyiwa. It's a pleasure to have you on Real Talk with Kike again today. Knowing that you were on my show on the 22nd of February this year on my radio program, but many thanks for always honoring my invite. Let me start by asking how you are doing today, because we know how the economy of this country is at the moment. So how are you doing today, sir?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers, and I want to wish all of us a very happy season. Happy season in the sense that yesterday was June 12th. June 12th was a very significant year and an event that took place some 30 years ago. And why we need to celebrate is that the aftermath of June 12 did not lead to the collapse of our nation, even though there were so many things that took place on June 12. Many lives were lost, many people were incapacitated, and even the man at the center of the June 12 was eventually he died on a very a circumstance that was not too very good for people. So we want to thank God that democracy, which many people fought for, we have so many martyrs, today has become a thing that has almost become a permanent exercise or event in Nigeria. So it's something that we need to celebrate. And also the last election, the just last election that brought about this new political dispensation is also something that calls for happiness and joy, in the sense that there are so many prophecies and predictions that were negative to the life of our nation. But in all, God still proved himself, and today we are still a very strong nation. Today is also very remarkable. It was as if the National Assembly will be set ablaze. It has never been so tense in the history of Nigeria. We saw billboards, especially in Abuja, all over Abuja, people contesting for principal offices at the National Assembly for the first time. And it was as if it was a general election. And many also came with all sorts of predictions, but we thank God eventually that everything has come, and today we will start reaping the dividends of democracy. So I wish all of us a very pleasant day.
All right, many thanks for that insightful pleasantry, because as far as I'm concerned, I wanted to start on a mild note, knowing yesterday was June 12. Of course, you've spoken about the history of June 12 and how some people struggled with it, but how do you think Nigeria has evolved in the space of democracy? How better are we away from the 30 years ago during the struggle? The struggle that you mentioned now is just in bits. I want, for those who are not children of history, so to speak, can you, enlighten us through this journey since 30 years ago?
Well, for those of us who witnessed military rule in Nigeria, it is those of us that will really appreciate civilian and democratic government. Under military rule, there was no freedom as it were. Under military rule, people lived in fear. And of course, the resources of the country was in the hands of the few. And they decided on it, whichever way they want. We did not see, or we did not experience so much development under military rule. Of course, there are good sides of military rule, but the fact that we did not enjoy the freedom that ought to be. So, but when, after, about 30 years ago, when we eventually come into democracy, we have witnessed a lot of freedom and development. You know, democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Whichever way the resources of Nigeria is shared, is evenly distributed. People, for instance, you can see the number of the National Assembly members. The 365 at the House of Reps and 109. Altogether, when you look at it, and also the attendance people that depend on these legislators, you will see that whatever that comes to them gets one way or the other to others, to their constituencies and everything, unlike the military rule. Military rule does not give room for all this type of thing. You just see, for instance, I'm sorry to say, up to today, we still talk about Abacha loot. You can imagine how much money one person, and that is just one person among many military officers that have looted the country. But in democracy, whichever way we look at it, it goes round. So I want to believe that democracy that we have enjoyed so far, we have seen development. And because of the fact that every politician knows that they need people to get to office, and they will be conscious of doing things that at least will touch the life of people, unlike the military that are not responsible to anybody. They are only responsible to themselves. So under democracy, whichever way we look at it, we have opportunity of changing our leaders through votes, through the ballot box, and then we have opportunity of determining who we want to rule us. And so I want to say, on the average, that Nigeria is better off under civilian government than military government.
You know, and I want to put aside the one of the fundamental human rights that you've mentioned, which is freedom of speech. You know, in your statement, sir, you believe President Tinubu will do well and become the best president Nigeria ever have since independence. Are there any pointers to that? I would like you to elaborate on it, more especially with the successful appointments and policies that he has taken in the last few days in office. I think in the last 13 or 14 days, to be precise. I stand to be corrected. What are the pointers for you to speak authoritatively that he would, you know, perform well in office?
Well, I want to thank God for this question. I am one of the few notable men of God in Nigeria who predicted the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In some of the interviews I granted before the election, I was so optimistic that God was about bringing out something that would marvel many Nigerians if eventually Tinubu emerged. And with what has happened now, the 10 or 13 days of his government, Nigerians are beginning to see and to feel the effect of leadership. This is one of the times that we have really seen that we have a leader who is decisive, a leader who can take decisions. When prophecies were coming out to say Muslim ticket, this, in many of my interviews, I made people to realize that the way God works is different from the way man thinks. Like I quoted 1 Corinthians chapter 1 from verse 24, which says, when God chooses someone, he does not choose people by merit. He does not choose people by who they are. He chose them by himself, and because the Bible makes us understand that God rules in the affairs of men. And when you see the first 13 days in office of Tinubu and what happened today is an attestation, it is an indication, it is an affirmation, it is a confirmation that Tinubu's emergence is ordained by God. It is ordained by God in that you can all see the circumstance by which he became the president. Many people contested it. Up to today, people are still feeling, how can God make this type of person our president? But from May 29, we have seen the difference. We have seen that this is a man who was very prepared for governance and who has come to government not to begin to gesticulate, not to begin to a sort of gamble. He knows what to do, and he has started with that. He removed subsidy, and he believed that removing it is something that Nigerians eventually will enjoy it. And look at the decision he has taken. Look at, people thought ordinarily that Tinubu will not be very decisive when it comes to combating corruption. But he has shown the way by, first and foremost, suspending Emefiele. And you can see that Nigerians are happy. And Nigerians are saying, oh, this is the type of thing. We want a government, we want a leader who, when it is necessary, it will come up and take decisions that will have bearing on the nation and on, even on economy. He has set up, he has asked the vice president to come up with to start the economic plan. And you can see that is coming up. Even the mood of the nation is changing. This is to show and to prove to the world that sometimes the stone that is rejected by men can eventually become a cornerstone. So I believe, and I'm so optimistic, that we are in a new dawn, a period where we will begin to see the hand of God upon Nigeria. I'm not partisan, I'm not a politician, but from what I saw before now and what we are seeing, I thank God, because God is really moving Nigeria to the direction he wants us to be.
All right, many thanks for that elaborate submission, carrying us through the process of the election. But I would like to ask you, because I remember vividly that in February 2023, to be precise, you cautioned Nigerians against voting for candidates on the basis of religion or tribal sentiments in the 2023 general elections, and you've mentioned a few pointers when you were giving your submission earlier. Now that we have a South Eastern Senate president with a Northern as his vice, what can we make up of these choices in terms of the lawmakers and, of course, how to foster synergy with the presidency? That's my first question to you, sir. And the second one is the fact that I feel that I would like your opinion on what you think towards the clam in terms of sense of belonging to the southeastern region of the country in terms of their inclusion to power. What's your take thus far with these two questions? What do you think? How do you think that those two will synergize in terms of carrying the citizens together?
Well, I think democracy is a game of numbers. But when you look at the president and by his antecedents, you will know that this is not a man that is nepotistic, that is a tribalist. This is a man that has shown in the past that he is a man of the people. He did it when he was governor, and I think he will do it. I look at what happened. He told us when he met us as a people, as a church, we told him what will be the fate of the church after, if he becomes the president and we have a Muslim as his vice. We said, what about the National Assembly? He promised us that he would do something to make sure that a Christian emerge as the Senate president, and this he has done. The emergence of Akpabio, Senator, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, also shows that God's hand is upon Nigeria. And this man, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is ordained by God to rule Nigeria at this time. You can see how the election was fiercely contested. I mean the National Assembly election. It was as if another Muslim will emerge. And if that had happened, where will the church put their face today? But we want to thank the president that he kept to his promise, and that shows that he's a man of honor, he's a man that is committed to whatever he has said. And now going to this southeast, I believe we are just starting. I do not see President Tinubu marginalizing any section of this country, including the Igbos. At the appropriate time, I know, because the Igbos, the southeast is an integral part of Nigeria. You cannot say, some people are arguing that because they didn't give enough number to APC, election has gone. Politics is over. We are now turning things around for Nigeria. And if a southeasterner is good to be placed in a place that will add value to this government, I'm sure the president will not hesitate. And I also appeal to him. I know him for that. And I also appeal that he should bring in everybody, the Igbos. So it is not yet over. How many appointments has he made so far? So we still have, apart from the ministers, which of course will be evenly shared, we will still have parastatal, we will have other key sector of the economy where other part of the country will be part. And I believe the Igbos are very generous people. The Igbos are people that they have also shown that they can offer something great to this country. I'm sure President Tinubu will not push them aside. He will bring them on board. And when you look at Nigeria of today, we really need government of unity. We cannot afford to plunge ourselves into another crisis. And I'm sure President Tinubu is not a man that will lead Nigeria in a very sectional way. He will not do that. And I wish he does not do that. So I believe with the emergence of Akpabio, it will bring a sort of stability to the polity. And after that, other appointments will reflect. But of course, competence will be, and we can get people that are very competent from all the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, especially in the southeast. So I believe that the president is listening and is a father of the nation, and he will do justice to fairness and then equity in Nigeria.
Many thanks for that insight right there. Before we go on the quick break, I would like to ask you, because you've said a lot, and I know, as you've said, that politics is a game of numbers, and understanding that in our country, Nigeria, it's like there's no ideology driving any of our politicians. I try to keep it real on this platform. And I would like to touch on the previous administration before I ask you my question, because former President Buhari had some fallouts with the last 9th National Assembly, and this delay the approval of some of the bills like the petroleum industry bill and the rejection of the electoral bill before approval. Now, with all that you've shared thus far, sir, do you think that President Tinubu may face similar friction, or Nigerians may see a more cooperative Senate? And I'm asking this because I understand that our people, for lack of a better word, it seems that it's just a stomach infrastructure. They have no ideology driving them. If anything comes out in the sense that they fall apart, what will become of this country in terms of synergy between Senate and the president?
Well, I think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, belongs to an ideological political group. He is not a politician there because he wants to, for stomach's sake. He belongs to the AG Action Group political family. And they have ideology, they have direction, they have where they are going. And I want to also believe that Asiwaju will disappoint many people. He's a man who believes in achieving greatness. He's a man who believes in perfection. And I'm sure the people he will not use them on the basis of compensating them for the role they played in the politics. Of course, it's good to compensate, but even there are so many ways you can compensate people who work for you. But when it comes to governance, you look for the best, those who will move. Nigeria is in a precipice. Nigeria is in a situation where we need surgical operation. And the president himself is aware of this. And I'm sure he will not want to play with the destiny of this nation. He will want to come up with the best from the east, west, north, and south. Now, the National Assembly that is being constituted today has shown that, has given a template for which the president is going to work very harmoniously, in a very coordinated, and because the party decided who to become what in the National Assembly, and which is good for him. So the president will have no excuse, and I'm sure all the good bills that will have to pass through the National Assembly will be expedite. It will be given accelerated attention, and especially when it is good. That is not to say that this National Assembly will be a rubber stamp, but there will be to a very large extent synergy and cooperation, and which will mean well for our nation.
Apologies, sir. I have to interrupt your line of thought. Are you with me? I have to interrupt your line of thought. We need to go on a quick break to get a message from our sponsor. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Right, glad to know you're still with me. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is about the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly and, of course, the reflection of democratic growth over the last 30 years in Nigeria after the lawmakers had their process today and Senator Godwin Akpabio emerged the 10th, president of the Senate and lawmaker, and of course Senator Jubril, Barrow emerged as the Deputy Senate president. The House of Assembly had their ballot system of election that was, aired publicly, that everybody could even see what was happening, and this gives us to real talk on the show today with my honorable guest, Most Reverend Peter Ogunmuyiwa, the Archbishop of Abuja, Province of the African Church, and of course the former chaplain of the National Christian Center. And I say many thanks for all that you've shared thus far. But quickly, sir, before I come to you, let me quickly use this opportunity to open our phone lines. I'm sure that there are quite a number of people who are watching us right now, because I've been seeing a lot of reactions from people, via our WhatsApps and all of that. So let me open my phone lines. Remember that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 0811 and 08098877400, and of course it will be on your screen right now, so that you can actually call in and share your own opinion. And remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, both on Real Talk with Kike and on Silverbird platform. Sir, with all that you've shared thus far, I just want to say thank you for throwing lights and trying to use your measure your word to bring in unity, because I think that that's what we need at the moment. But you have raised concerns on potential dangers of having another Fulani Muslim as the Senate president, while also considering the principles of fairness, of religious freedom, and inclusivity. I think that is all that you've shared thus far. What sort of dangers are inherent that you can say that how we will settle with Nigerians with all that you've shared thus far, and how we can move forward knowing that that has been put aside when it comes to religion. And I like the fact that you've mentioned certain things earlier regarding Abacha looting, and quite a number of them during the military era. I'd like you to throw some light on that as well, because I feel that where we are at the moment, you have accused, let me use your word now, you have accused the media of leaning its voice to one side of the narrative. Can you explain how the mainstream media have been partial and unbalanced about the narrative of religious politics in Nigeria? Because I'm charging you to this because of the Abacha loot that you mentioned earlier. So if you can answer these two questions, because you are running out of time.
Well, let me just start by saying today is one of my happiest days. Reason is that today, what happened at the National Assembly, the elections at the National Assembly, has justified the fact that Nigeria is not just a mere geopolitical expression. Nigeria is a project in the hands of God. Can you imagine if a Muslim had emerged again as Senate president, how the church, the Christians would have felt? So I believe that God is interested in Nigeria, and I want to congratulate all the senators-elect, the announced senators, and the honorable members of the House for doing the needful, for rising up to the challenge, and letting Nigeria know that Nigeria is a multi-religious country, and every religion has a role to play. Some people said during the Muslim ticket, they said religion was not a factor. No. It is not as if the APC or the president felt religion was not a factor. With my personal interaction with him, I was made to understand that he chose Vice President Shettima because he felt, as a political strategist, he felt he could win election with Shettima. If Shettima had been a Christian, maybe we would still have used him. But we frowned at it as a church because we felt Muslim. But today, the hope of the church has been rekindled by letting us know that Christians still have a stake in the affairs of this nation. So I congratulate all Nigerians and the National Assembly people for that. Now, relating it to the economy, the Nigeria as a project, I believe Nigeria, we have very good people that can move this country forward. And when you bring it back to, you see, there are so many corrupt Nigerians, and at the same time, there are many people that are interested in the prosperity of Nigeria. I would think that much as the past is not too important, but we don't have to dwell too much in the past by trying to look for those who have looted Nigeria. Yes, I believe if we are able to get them in the course of this government moving forward, those that can refund, those that monies can still be retrieved back from them, there's nothing bad in that. Because during military era, they did what they did because they were not under the supervision. Under military, there was no legislature. So they acted fiatly. So they did whatever they did.
Apologies, sir. I have to interrupt your line of thought. We have a caller, sir. Apologies. Osamudium, I hope I pronounced his name properly, from Edo State. Many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand? Please go straight to the point.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Please go straight to the point.
Hello?
I can hear you now. All right, apologies, I have to let that go. Sir, before the call came in, I feel that you've not touched on the accusation of the media, trying to, tilt to a certain narrative. I would like you to quickly touch on that in 1 minute because we are running out of time.
I feel the media has a great role to play in this developmental democracy that we are in. I know that the media, I have once accused the media of being biased, just like any individual. There is nobody that will come out today and say he does not have his own preference, one way or the other. And from what I am an ardent observer of the media houses, and I listen carefully. I watch their temperament, I watch their lineage and all sorts of things like that. So I believe the media also have their own biases. But in all, I feel Nigeria should be paramount. What do we want to get out of this nation? For instance, when the debate about this who to become Senate leadership of the National Assembly came up, I saw that almost all the media felt, well, Senate should be allowed to elect whoever they want. And I said to one of my friends, I said, no, we cannot say Senate should be allowed, because if you look at the composition of the National Assembly, the North has more number than the South. And if they want to go by that, There is no way a Southerner will contest an election with a Northerner
Apologies
and
again.
the
Apologies.
Northerner.
We have Dennis from Edo calling us. We have Dennis from Edo calling us. Dennis, please go straight to the point. Many thanks for calling.
The person that emerged a winner for the House of Senate is in the person of his honorable party of from Cross River State, emerged to the position, and I wish him good success.
All right, thank you. All right, sir. You've said a lot, and we all know that many Nigerians have praised this administration, stating that they have a firm and good starting from the inauguration day. And of course, we know that even people who did not vote for Mr. President, are beginning to, give him a little bit of a chance or hope that, maybe he would perform. But putting that aside, because I know I'm really running out of time right now, I would like you to touch on a story that you quite mentioned during your pleasantries, the opening of the show, and the whole controversy of fraud and abuse of office being alleged on the former CBN governor is another aspect that may test this administration fight against corruption, if you ask me. I would like you to, comment on this, if it's possible, in 2 minutes on the issue at hand, and how do you think Mr. President should address it going forward?
Well, I want to praise the courage of Mr. President for arresting Governor Emefiele. I think this is every Nigerian is happy for that. But at the same time, I will want the president and the security agencies that are charged with the responsibility of dealing with this type of issue to go about it in a legal way. All the legal processes should be followed. We want this matter to be logically concluded. If this man deserves to go to jail, I will want him to go to jail. If he deserves mercy, they should show mercy. I believe that this is a good example of a government or a leader that is determined to be fair, to be just, and then to be firm in the running of the affairs of this nation. We have not had, it's long we have this type of government. We had it during Idi Agbon Buhari regime when we were young in the secondary school days, but we have not had it so well up till now. So many of us are surprised that President Tinubu can be so decisive, and so we are happy for that, and we look forward to as many that have looted Nigerians' treasury. The government should go about it in a legitimate way. I'm not saying we shan't, but the government is broke now. It is because they are broke, that was why they removed subsidy. But we poor people, the common people, should not be made to suffer for the crime committed by the elite all the time. So I would think that this so-called untouchable should be touched. Some of the money they have looted should be recovered so that we can have enough money to run this government. So not just removing subsidy, and some of us will have to buy fuel in a very hard way. They should go go after them in a legitimate way, but that should not distract this government from being focused on what they actually want to achieve. Because they say corruption, those who are corrupted are so powerful that they fight back. And they may fight this government and may not allow this government to have a direction. All right, many
thanks again for that insight right there. This will be my last question to you, and I will appreciate if you can answer in 1 minute or in 1 minute few seconds, because you've talked about certain issues that I feel that it's best for me to talk about it, knowing that Democracy Day was yesterday. We cannot deny the freedom to speech and human rights in our country at the moment, knowing that we've also touched about on the fundamental human rights of our citizens. Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu are individuals that people are seeking pardon for at the presidency. If you were Mr. President, sir, what would you do?
If I'm Mr. President, I will look at the merits of their cases and act on it accordingly. If Kanu will not be a threat to the peace and unity of Nigeria, let them look at it and see why he was arrested in the first instance. If there is no justification for his arrest, then they should expedite his release. And when he's released, they should release him on the condition that he will not plunge Nigeria into another crisis. Ditto Sunday Igboho. We don't want problem in Nigeria, we want peace. The east of Nigeria wants peace, and we want to, all of us to enjoy the dividends of democracy. Finally, I want to enjoin the Christians in particular to cooperate with Mr. President. We have seen that he has started well. Let us put the election that brought him into office behind us. Of course, it is in the court. I'm not saying the court should be stopped. That one should go on. But let us cooperate. Let all Nigerians cooperate with this government and encourage them. Because it is when we encourage them, we can get the best out of this government. I am happy that what I predicted, for instance, has come to reality, and I believe that God will never fail us in this country.
Many thanks for all your submission thus far. It's been an interesting time with you, Archbishop Ogunmuyiwa. But before I let you go, I really want to touch on the last segment of the show with you, called Trending Stories. These are stories that binds you and I as Nigerians. And the first trending story that caught my attention is that of the senator, Senator Chukwuwa, I hope I pronounced that properly, that was bragging about influence on wife court judgment. And I think before I come to you, because you've shared a lot, I just quickly need to put my submission to fall right now, because it's a pity that those in position to deliver justice are mere object of influence, if you ask me, by those who wish to manipulate them to their favor. And the actions described in the viral video that I watched of retired Senator Ahmed, Muhammadu Chukwuwa, are deeply concerning, if you ask me, when it comes to, raising serious questions about the integrity of our judicial system, and of course the principles of justice and fairness when it comes to Nigeria as a whole. And I feel that it is very disheartening, if you ask me, to witness a public figure openly admitting to influencing the decision of his wife. The wife who held a high-ranking position within the judiciary. Such behavior undermines the trust and the confidence that the public, should have in our legal institution. And I feel that the judiciary, plays a pivotal role in upholding justice and ensuring the fair and equal treatment of all individuals in Nigeria. It is a pillar of democracy that should operate independently, free from any form of undue influence or interference, if you ask me. But the allegations made, by Senator Chukwuwa, I wish somebody can help me pronounce that, Chukwuwa, regarding his influence over the judgment of his wife, which is Justice Zainab Chukwuwa, who is retired, are deeply troubling, if you ask me. And we should raise serious questions about the, all the credibility of our legal institution, because if my guest today is talking about, holding people accountable and the likes, and those who have, looted money, what this person have said now is not far-fetched from looting money, if you ask me. So the sad fact is that even developed countries are not immune from this type of occurrence or favoritism, if you ask me. But there are mechanisms to checkmating it, and we don't have that checkmate right now. We don't have that mechanism by law. Maybe that's how to tailor it. By law, we don't have that. And the innocent ones, often dies in jail. The accused often, roam the streets to be held again, and I don't know. It is just so sad. I couldn't put my thoughts together, and I'm asking, how many judgments can be recalled that, that has been passed by his wife? For me, legal audits and investigations should be launched on all of the wife's judgments till date, to ensure that records are set aright for the sake of tomorrow and humanity. Sir, let me come to you quickly. What's your submission on this? I don't know if you can give your submission in 2 minutes so that we can touch on the second story.
Well, fortunately, the president himself has started well by also touching on the judiciary. He said he's going to ensure that their welfare and whatever that has to do with that office will be adequately taken care of. And again, I think the fear of God is lacking in the minds of many of our leaders at all levels, especially the judiciary. Those who are to administer justice are also found in criminal tendencies and, in fact, criminal acts, which is quite unfortunate. What I will simply say is that whatever we do, the government, first, the government must provide a very good environment for the judiciary to be able to work, their emolument and all other things that they are entitled to should not be denied of them. After that, there should also be a mechanism by which discipline will be instilled. People that are found to be guilty or to err must be punished. I look forward to the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doing all this and making sure that he closes his eyes in dealing with whoever without minding the tribe, their status of whichever, and then Nigeria can be sanitized. Nigeria can be a better place. It's quite unfortunate. It is not just in the case that you have cited now. Many people, especially those who do not have the wherewithal to buy justice, the ordinary people, they suffer injustice at a very, very unfortunate manner.
All right, many thanks sir, for your submission on that.
And then
we have to go, and I want to quickly touch on the second trending story, which is the Chef Dami, the controversy of how will I put it, cookathon attempts that was made by her. I mean, yes, but the Chef Dami in I think Ekiti State or Kwara State was the one in Ekiti State, you know, that brought this controversy, knowing that, you know, Udabasi at the time was not, you know, confirmed there. But now, putting that aside, as at 3 hours ago, you know, Udabasi has been confirmed, you know, and I want to use this opportunity to say congratulations to Udabasi, you know, and Udabasi have set a track record for many Nigerian youths, especially females, to look inward and, of course, to see how well they can, you know, push themselves into doing something positive. I'm happy that she has been a source of inspiration for others like Dami from Ekiti to want to do more and prove our own metal in the cushion of our own ability, our own skills. As per the reactions that I saw on social about Chef Dami, some people say she's not Chef Dami, she's Cook Dami, whatever. You know, I just feel that, you know, those different people who are shading her and also now shading her with different opinions, I just feel that I want to use this opportunity to say that nobody in the first place has any right, you know, no one has any right to do that, because it is not an invention but a healthy competition. I wish that sometimes we women can actually embrace each other from that angle. It has always been with us as human to always think that certain people that do certain things are competing with us. No, I dislike the fact that people also went as far as attacking her physical appearance and body shaming her, you know, comparing her body to Udabasi. I felt that was a no-no. It is lousy, it is unacceptable. Body shaming or saying all sorts of negative things isn't needed at all on that Dami from Ekiti State. So the truth is that Hilda as well, you know, we all appreciate her. She has inspired so many people, you know, and I feel that she has broken the existing record of the Indian cook Teflon, you know. So likewise, Dami too could have been inspired by Udabasi as well. Can we actually look at it from that perspective? So the bottom line for me in this submission is that the entire controversy is generated because of, you know, the timing, and I agree with the fact that those who say timing could be wrong, but then again, there is no wrong time to doing something good. So my question now is it a healthy competition? The answer is yes. Is it a positive impact? The answer is yes. Does it bring value to women and Nigerians. The answer is yes. So that solves it all for me. So except if you want to come from a place of hate or bias, like my guests today have constantly emphasized on people being biased, which is not necessary if you ask me. More power to Dami's elbow, more power to the Basi. We need more women to come out, you know, to come and actually inspire many other people to understand that there are many things that they have to offer the world. So she may inspire another person to look inward to something different and positive. And at the end of the day, I just feel I wish them the very best. You know, I saw a video of Ida Basi coming into the studio where she was so excited, you know, and she busted into tears, and I felt that that was a moment that we all need to understand that when you are waiting for something and you are looking for the confirmation from the people, you know, that is where that is okay. They are telling me that I need to go now. Sir, let me come to you. I'm sure you must have seen this trending. What do you have to say to this in 1 minute? Is it possible for you to give your submission in 1 minute?
What I will simply say is this: a ripe orange, it is only a ripe orange that attracts stones. Our sister has made record, and you don't rule out those who will be envious and jealous of her attainment in life. So whatever she's going through, I just want to encourage her not to be distracted. God still have a better place of taking her to. She is being accused and all sorts of things that is going around her now. It's because of her new status. It's because of her new attainment in life. She has broken a record, a world record for that matter. So I just want to encourage her. She should remain focused and not allow whatever that is around her to bring her down or to make her lose focus of our target in life.
All right,
that's all I want to say.
Many thanks again, sir, for all your insights and, of course, elaborate submission. We wish you the very best. I will say thank you for being our resourceful guest today. Without you, you know, I don't know if this edition of this show would have, you know, turned out the way it is many times. And we wish you the very best as well as you continue to lend your voice to the Christianhood, and of course looking for accountability from both sides, both political and from religious angle. On this note, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. Till I come your way on Thursday on Silverbell platform, remember to catch me live on Inspiration FM 92.3 at 5 p.m. Remain kind to one another, and bye now.